Hello everybody. I thought I'd do a quick screen recording just to kind of show you guys a little bit about the features of Flickr. This part specifically is on uploading. I'm a very visual person, and so it's much easier for me to explain things in this format than it is to do so by spelling it out or writing it out. So I hope that you enjoy this video or that it's helpful because I know that for me it is definitely an easier way to learn. Really quick, I went ahead and clicked on upload, just like I mentioned in my blog post. And then I navigated to the location where these 3 photos were stored. And so I've already got 3 photos added in. Now, when you first come into the uploader and you add a photo, typically the last set that you added are selected with this pink bar around it. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go in and select all, because we want to make these changes to every picture in the set, not just the photos, not just the most recent ones I added, or let's say that I edited this one, and so just this one selected. Any changes that I make to this will only be applied to the one that's selected. So we want to always make sure that we select all. Even after we change items, we'll have to go back and select all before we get into sets and other settings down here. I did just do a version of this video a minute ago until my son came in and decided to have a chat with me, which is totally fine. So this is the second time I've recorded, so I already have some of these things finished. So we'll just go ahead and kind of reset things here. But the first thing after you get these photos selected, the first thing you want to do is go through the settings here on the side before you upload. As you can see, there's a lot of options here, and so I'll kind of just briefly go through what's available, and you can decide for yourself what is best for you. The first section here is an easy way to replace text, specifically the titles of the photos or the descriptions of the photos. And again, it'll only do it to the one selected. So this says editing one photo with these settings, and we want to make sure we're editing all of them at the same time. So if I wanted to, say, change these to butterfly pics or something like that, it changes all of them because I have all 3 selected. But then if I wanted to go in and say, oh, I want to call this butterfly pics, I don't know, 1, because I'm super creative like that. I could do that, and then I could go to here and do butterfly pics 2, butterfly pics 3, whatever you want to do. It's totally up to you. I don't really, honestly, to be really honest with you, I don't use this at all. I just use, a lot of time my photos are uploaded with the DSC _ or whatever your camera defaults at. I just leave it at that because I use other tools, specifically sets, within Flickr to organize my photos, so I don't necessarily need to be really descriptive here. So once I have those added, and again, I can go in and I can add a description. Here, if I wanted to click here, I could add a description, and it would be, oh, see, and here's a great example. I did not have all the photos selected, so just the last one has this change to it. So what I want to do is go through and make sure I select all, and then make sure that all the descriptions are selected, so then I could add a description if I wanted to. The primary reason that you'd want to use descriptions on the photos would be if you're sharing them socially within Flickr. Or if you wanted to use this as a journaling aspect, you could definitely do that. But I just find that I don't have the time to go through and describe every photo, and so it's hard for me to take the time now and do it if I know I'm not going to use that aspect of it. But Flickr does have a huge social aspect to it. There's groups and different aspects of Flickr where you might want to put a description. So for example, I know I took these photos with my macro lens, and I know on Flickr there's a huge group for macro photography, especially Nikon macro photography, or even a group for specific lenses or whatever. There's a ton of stuff out there. So I might want to put on here the settings I use to take the photo if I wanted to do that. But I don't use Flickr in that way since I primarily use it for storage of photos and organization of photos. So I don't really think there would be much of a use for it for people that are just backing up family photos. But if you do get into the social aspect, or you do get into the photography aspect of Flickr and you want to share things that way, you definitely could use the description bar to do so. next option is tags. Tags is a great idea, great concept, love it. But the downside to it is that they just incorporated it recently, and so most of my photos are not tagged because of my because I have they just added it. I have photos in here from years and years ago, so that aren't tagged. So if I started tagging photos tomorrow, they wouldn't really be effective for me because I have 3 years or 4 years worth of photos that have no tags. So it wouldn't. If I searched a tag, I wouldn't be able to find those photos since they weren't tagged, unless I went back through and tagged them all, which to me sounds too time consuming. And again, I use sets in a different way than maybe most people do, but I use those sets to organize things, which I can get to in a second here. But you're welcome to, if you're just starting out on Flickr and you think that'd be something you want to start, my suggestion is to start that from the very beginning. So from day one, you might want to add tags. So you might want to separate with a space is how you do separate instead of commas, which is also different. A lot of websites you separate with a comma, but you separate with a space. But you might want to say here, if I was tagging these, I would say butterfly space, landscape space. I took these at Disney World, so I might say Disney World space, flowers space. You could just, you can go crazy with the tags. If you're not using the social aspect of Flickr and you're not using, and you're not going to search tags, which I don't really ever, then again, this is something you could skip. So I basically skip, and the same with people. If you have family or friends that are on Flickr a lot and you think that you want to use that aspect of it to add people to it, you're welcome to. But I don't really have a reason to use that. Most of my family isn't necessarily big Flickr users at this point in time, at least not publicly or socially or whatever. We share photos in a different way, or I share just a set with them a lot of the times. I'll email them. Or actually, down here I have them added as friends and family so they can see my stuff. But there's not. I can't really think of a scenario if you're backing up family photos where you use that section of it. The next section is sets, which is the primary thing that I use within Flickr, and it's how I organize everything. I know in the blog post I mentioned this as well, but you can add a photo to multiple sets, which is why I think sets are just the way to go. You can add photos to, and how I do it is I always, as I'm uploading, so I uploaded things that are of the same subject matter, so I might upload these, or I might upload I might select all the photos from a birthday party, or all the photos from a trip to the zoo, or whatever, and I have them all in here. As I'm adding them to sets, I would go ahead and create a set that said, trip to the zoo, March 2013, or whatever, so-and-so's birthday party, March 2013, but I would go in and add those to other sets as well, because I want to be able to find them in a bunch of different ways. So in other words, it helps you organize your stuff in a way that is going to be super handy and useful in years to come. Because primarily, if you think about it, when you go back to look for photos, whether you're searching for digital files or you're searching through photos in an album, you're usually looking for the subject matter of photo or the age of somebody. You might say, oh, I want to look at pictures of so-and-so when they were a baby, or I want to look at pictures of so-and-so when they were in school or in first grade. I think that's one of the things that's fun now, as my kids are the ages they are, they want to know what we looked like at that age, or what we did at that age, or what toys we had, or whatever. And it's fun to go back and say, okay, here's Christmas of whatever, 1984, here I am with my Cabbage Patch doll, or whatever the case may be. But, if we think of how we want to use photos and how we want to search for photos, we just basically apply that to how we use sets in Flickr. So how I use sets, again, is I create an event for whatever. So Zoo of March in March of 2013 or whatever. And then I go in and I add those photos to other sets. So I might add those same photos to a set of my kids that I have made. The other kinds of sets that I have a set for each of my kids at their different age groups. So I have a set for my youngest is Connor. I have a set for Connor age 0 to 1, Connor age 1, age 2, or age 1, age 2, age 3. I have one for each year. So then what I do, if I was adding, say, let's example a zoo trip. I lost my train of thought there for a second. If I was adding a zoo trip right now, let's say I took these at the zoo and one of them had a picture of Connor in it, I could go back in and say I want just this picture of Connor to be added to his Connor age 4 set. So then that way I can go back through and I can, for each of my kids, I have a set and say, okay, here's all the pictures that were taken of you when you were 5. or here's all the pictures of you when you were a baby. And it's an easy way to go back. In addition, another way to use sets that I think is kind of fun is if I was, say, uploading birthday party pictures. So my son's birthday was last week. If I uploaded, if this set was of his birthday party, and I uploaded those to Flickr, then what I would do is I would create a set that said, you know, so-and-so's birthday party, blah, blah, blah. And then I would go in as well and I'd add those to a set that I have created that's all of his birthday parties. So my son's birthday last week, it was Wyatt's birthday. So then I have a set that's just Wyatt's birthday pictures. And so in that set, I have pictures from every single party that we've had for him. And so then that way I can go back and look and say, oh, here's all your birthday party photos. And in Flickr, as you can see when we get into the uploading part of it, it saves the date and time the photo was taken because it has that data from your camera. If it's a digital photo, if it's a scanned photo, it's different. But if it's a digital photo, it has the data of the date it was taken. So it's very easy to go back and say, oh, look, here's all your birthday party pictures from your childhood. So, you know, here's all of your pictures in one place. So there's one set that we can look at that to find that. And like I said, that photo is in multiple sets. So I don't have to upload it 3 times and put it 3 different sets. And I don't have to only pick one set to put it in. I can put it in as many sets as I want. For example, for the birthday party photos, I would also put those in, you know, Wyatt age 5. A lot of times, actually, when I go into those sets of my kids, the first pictures in that set are from their birthday party of that year. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. And then also, I also have a set for each month of the year. So all the pictures, so these were not taken recently. They were taken actually when we went to Disney World. But these will all go, not just in the set I'm creating today, but they will all go in the Disney World set that I have. But if I had, and then they would also go in, we went in September, so they would go into a September set that I have. So then that way, no matter how I want to look for these photos, whether I want to look for Disney World photos and I find it, or whether I want to look for butterfly photos and I find it, or whether I want to look for September of that year and I want to find it that way, however I want to look for it, it's going to be in that set. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, let's go ahead and add it to a set. And I already created a set because this is not the first time I recorded a video. So, and I can hear my son in the background. He might be back in a minute here. But basically, you're going to go in, and as you can see, I have lots and lots and lots and lots of sets. I also have sets for my work files as well. So a lot of different sets in here. But basically, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and pick a set and hit done, and it's created in that set. Or you can create a new set, in which case you would just title it, or whatever you want to title. If they were birthday photos, you know, you could title it that way, or however that you want to do that. But I have it done here, and it's added to my butterfly set. Again, if you wanted to, you could also remove it this way. And also, if you wanted to just select one. So, like, let's say that I wanted to. This one is already in the butterfly set because all 3 were added. But if I wanted to add just this one picture to a set, so maybe I already have a set of other butterfly pictures I've taken or something like that, I could from here add it to a second set, which is just such an awesome feature because it's so easy to add it to whatever set you'd like. Like I said, if these were pictures of my kids, you know, this one, if it had Connor in it, I would go ahead and take just this one picture and add it to the birthday photo and to Connor age 4 and to, you know, whatever, all the different sets that I think that I would want to look for. So hopefully that kind of explains sets, kind of maybe a lengthy discussion on it, but hopefully that makes sense. And if you have questions, you know, feel free to email me or comment on the blog. The next section here is groups. Again, like I said, Flickr has a huge ability to share socially, and so you can be parts of different groups. Like I said, photography groups or travel groups or cooking groups. I mean, there's like a million different groups on this. I don't know how many there are, but there's a lot of groups out there. I am actually involved. I think I'm only involved in 2 groups. The first one is Pioneer Woman, which I love her website. Hopefully you all know it very well. But she has a photography group where she used to do contests, or she used to do have people share basically on Flickr by adding their photos to this group, and then people were able to see them. Or then this one is a textures group. I am for photography, so you can have textures for Photoshop. But basically, you know, if I wanted to add these photos to this group, I could do that here. One way that I think would be cool to use groups, just as a side note, if you do have a family that's pretty tech savvy, or already have Flickr or getting Flickr, or you're going to, you know, hint, hint, share this post with them and then get them to sign up for Flickr so that they can use it with you, then this might be kind of a fun way to use it, would be to use it as a group, set up a group for your family. You can create free groups within Flickr, you know, no charge or anything like that. And I think, you know, I haven't set up a group myself, but I'm sure there's privacy settings you'd set up for that. But then say that you wanted to have a group for your family so that whoever is in your family would be able to add at this point in time photos to one group. So then for all your get-togethers, you're able to say, oh, here's all the Christmas photos from, you know, all of our family members. They're all adding them into this one group in Flickr. And I think that would be just a really handy tool down the road, especially as people become more tech savvy, or our kids grow up and take over the world and everything's online. That's probably one of the better aspects of that. But right now I don't really use groups in that way, but you could. The last section here that I definitely go into edit things is owner settings. The first default setting is copyright. It defaults to no copyright, or all rights reserved, which means you own the copyright fully. I'm sorry if you can hear that sound in my background. We've got trucks driving through. My son's got a garbage truck going through the dining room here. So, but anyway, it defaults to the all rights reserved, which basically means, of course, that you retain copyright. The other options you have available is that you could create or give Creative Commons licensing. I mean, if you're using Flickr to back up family photos, there would be no reason to select any of these. However, if you're a photographer and you want to share files or allow people to download a file for their own personal use, this is where you would select that. And Creative Commons licenses, typically most people have a stipulation there where it says you have to credit them, or in order to be able to use it legally, or they might say you can use it, but it can't be for commercial use, which is the non-commercial or whatever. So there's all these different aspects. If you're using it for family photography, you honestly don't need to worry about any of those. Just leave it as none, so then you retain full copyrights of your photos, and no one's using any of your images for personal use. Which this one isn't even really as important as we get down into privacy, because I know I personally set myself pretty private. So, you know, it won't really matter much, but it's just an added feature there. Under privacy, there's basically three options you have. The first option, I believe, is the default, or actually I think any one is the default. I can't remember because I've been messing with these. But either way, the three options are only you, in which case only you can see the photos. Friends and family, when you select that, this option here changes to yellow because you're giving kind of a medium level of access of your photos away. And friends and family are people that you have added in Flickr as friends and family, and you can invite them from, you know, via email. And I do have friends, and I have given my access to friends and family. It was much easier for me to say, instead of saying, oh, can you get me the pictures of so-and-so on a disc, or, oh, I need pictures from Christmas last year, and, you know, and then you have to email the files over, and the files are big, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. I added my friends and family, or actually mostly I think they're all family, but added everyone in as users on my account under friends and family. And I still have control over that, so I don't have to, it's not like I'm giving them access to see everything in my account at all. They're only seeing what I select as visible to friends and family. So if I select these, I know that you know, my mom can log in and she can see these photos, and if she wanted to download them, she could, and that's totally fine with me. And I use friends and family basically for everything, because there's not really anybody that in my friends or family list that I wouldn't want to have full access. Exception of business files, like those I keep as those I would set to only me being visible. But you can basically decide, depending on your situation, whether you want it to be to you or only friends and family. And again, all of these settings you can go in and change later. So maybe right now you don't have any friends or family that use Flickr, or you haven't invited anybody, or you don't plan to right now. You can just keep it as you for now, and you can go back in later and add friends and family to photos very easily. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I selected as friends and family. I would almost never, there'd be no reason for you, unless you were a very public person, to have your photos, especially your family photos, public for anyone to see. It's totally your call. Everyone has a different level of comfort. I personally am not that comfortable with my personal family photos being able to be looked up online. So Flickr has the option, which is awesome, of having it be something that only you can see. So even though you're uploading it to a site, only you are able to see your photos unless you allow access for other people like your friends or family or the public to see them. Make sure that you do go in and change the setting though. Like I said, I think it might default to public just because Flickr is a very social app or social website. So a lot of people do share publicly, which is totally fine, and everybody's comfort level is different on that. But definitely go in and make sure that you change it. Once you make your changes, make sure you click done so that those changes are saved. And then the last section, or the second section here, is whether or not it's visible in public searches. I always select hidden. And again, if it's private and my rights are reserved, I'm really covered, but I just, it's like a second level of comfort as far as that goes. The last section here is content filters, which, again, if you're not sharing publicly, doesn't really matter a ton, but it's just good to have done. It defaults as safe. This would be if you had content that was not safe for kids or whatever. Maybe if you were doing a different kind of photography than I do, you might want to do that. Or if you have photos that are available for the public that you want to have on a restriction, that would be something you'd use. I don't think anybody that I know would probably need to use this level, and then content type is just the photo, and it defaults as photo. The other options are screenshot or illustration. So anyway, that's kind of the basic levels of uploading. We want to make sure, again, that all of our photos are selected, that they're all going into this set here, and that we've changed these things here, which we have done already, okay? So now that we see that that's done, when we hit upload for these 3 photos, it says these items will be uploaded with the following changes. They're available to friends and family, they're in a set, and they're hidden from public search. So essentially it's reminding you of the 3 things or however many things that you've changed on it and how they will be shared. Now if I had gone back, if I had gone over here and had accidentally had just one photo selected when I meant to have all 3 selected, when I went to upload it would say one photo in sets, one photo in public search. Like it would basically tell you at this step that only one of them has had those changes made and the other 2 haven't. So you always want to make sure that this kind of matches however many that you have selected. So if you have select all, let's say you have 50 photos here, that it says updating 50 items with the following changes. And then at that point you can click upload to photo stream, and you have now uploaded your first set to Flickr.